What happened when a TV dad and his son become enemies in real life? When Tim Allen and Jonathan Taylor Thomas get into a fight, fans were shocked. On Home Improvement, they had a great relationship, but things quickly went bad behind the scenes. Why did they stop being friends? How did a simple choice start a fight that is still going on? Stay with us as we break down the drama, from being a show star to a fight that changed everything. You'll not believe how this story goes. Let's jump right in. The rise of a TV family. Home Improvement went from being an amateur to a worldwide hit. Its success made even the biggest stars in Hollywood jealous. Years had gone by while Tim Allen worked hard at building his career as a stand-up comic, and Jonathan Taylor Thomas was just starting out as a kid actor. Their lives were changed by Home Improvement, which became a cultural phenomenon and showed that their on-screen chemistry was worth all the hype. This wasn't just another father-son TV relationship, it was the most popular and showed that family comedies were still the best. Tim Allen quickly became one of the highest-paid stars on TV while Jonathan quickly became a teen hero. Tim Allen was cast as Tim the Toolman Taylor, a loving but accident-prone host of a home repair show. Jonathan Taylor Thomas was cast as Randy, Tim's middle son who was smart and sarcastic and often got the best lines on the show. Before we can understand why their fight was so big, we need to look at how Home Improvement became a worldwide phenomenon known for its quality, fun, and compassion. Home Improvement didn't just fit in with the times, it made the times. How it all began. Home Improvement first aired on ABC in 1991 and quickly became one of the most popular shows on the network. Follow the life of Tim Taylor, host of the Home Improvement show Tool Time, and his family. That was the show's easy idea, and it hit home with viewers across America. Family sitcoms were still getting used to life after the huge success of shows like The Cosby Show and Family Ties in the 1980s. A lot of shows from that time used goofy humor or current events, but Home Improvement did something different. Allen's physical comedy and grunting catchphrases were matched by real family moments and plots that were surprisingly deep. This mix of fun and heart became what the show was known for. But it wasn't easy to get where they were going. Home Improvement had to prove it wasn't just another basic family drama in its early years while going up against shows that were already big hits. The show really took off when it found its own voice, which was a mix of traditional family values, modern ideas, and Allen's unique humor that focuses on men. The show's humor came from Tim Allen's work as a stand-up comic in the past. He did a famous number about guys and tools that worked great on TV, making the character both believable and silly. On the other hand, Jonathan Taylor Thomas had a natural charm and timing that made him look older than he was. He was great at delivering sarcastic one-liners as Randy Taylor, often taking scenes from his more experienced co-stars. Home Improvement felt real because of how well the actors got along with each other. Patricia Richardson, who played Tim's wife Jill, was the right balance to Allen's over-the-top manliness. The bigger Taylor boys, Zachary Ty Bryan and Jonathan Taylor Thomas, got along great as brothers. The youngest son, Taron Noah Smith, rounded out the family. Many shows had trouble when their network schedules changed, but Home Improvement was surprisingly stable. Many comedies came and went in the 1990s, but this one kept its viewers and quality for most of its run. Some shows like Friends and Seinfeld got better reviews, but Home Improvement really connected with regular Americans in a way that not many other shows could. By the middle of the 1990s, Home Improvement was clearly a ratings powerhouse. It became a worldwide hit that was shown in more than 60 countries, not just the United States. Its ability to change with viewers' tastes while staying true to itself made sure it would continue to be successful. Making of a teen idol, Jonathan Taylor Thomas was the star of Home Improvement and quickly became a big star that no one saw coming. Tim Allen's well-known brand of comedy drew people in, but it was JTT who kept young people watching week after week. Randy, his character, was smart, snarky, and cute. He was the perfect middle child and often the emotional center of many shows. Jonathan Taylor Thomas wasn't just another kid actor, he was a monster in the world of marketing. His picture was on the cover of many magazines such as Teen Beat, BOP, 16 Magazine, and Tiger Beat. Fans young and old couldn't get enough of the actor. His boyish good looks and real skill made him stand out among other teen heartthrobs of the 1990s. I never really asked for any of this, Jonathan told Entertainment Weekly. In the end, I thought I should act. He was born in Pennsylvania in 1981 as Jonathan Taylor Weiss, but he changed his name to his stage name early in his career. He was already well known for his role as young Simba in Disney's The Lion King before he joined Home Improvement. However, it was his part as Randy Taylor that made him famous. By 1994, he was getting more than 5,000 letters from fans every week. At first, it looked like Tim Allen and Jonathan Taylor Thomas were the right master and mentee pair. Allen taught the young actor a lot. Behind the scenes, Tim would often help Jonathan with the timing and delivery of his jokes. Tim is said to have told the group he was a natural talent. He was impressed by how quickly Jonathan could pick up on the subtleties of comedy. Jonathan became a bigger star as Home Improvement kept doing well. During breaks from the show, he got parts in movies like Tom and Huck, Wild America, and I'll Be Home for Christmas. As he tried to balance schoolwork, the TV show, and his new job as a movie actor, his routine got busier. By the middle of the 1990s, Jonathan Taylor Thomas was said to be making $25,000 per episode of Home Improvement. This was a lot of money for a teenage actor, but it was still a lot less than Tim Allen's pay, which had grown to $200,000 per episode and would eventually hit $1.25 million later in the season. The fact that their paychecks were different didn't seem to bother them. People who worked on Home Improvement said that the set was peaceful and that the actors got along well with each other. The whole cast would often get together for holidays and birthdays, making the events feel like family events that went beyond the cameras. Tim's wife Jill was played by Patricia Richardson, who often said that the set was like a second home for the young players. But as Jonathan's fame grew, small changes started to show up in the way things worked. When Home Improvement first started, Tim Allen was without a doubt the show's star. But by the mid-1990s, Jonathan was getting just as much, if not more, media attention. The young actor got offers for movie roles, magazine covers, and teen awards all at once, while Tim kept working steadily on TV. This plan seemed to work for everyone for a while. The show was helped by having two big stars. Tim could focus on his comedy and direct some episodes, and Jonathan did well in movies while working on the show. Tension behind the tool time. As Home Improvement's later seasons went on, things changed behind the scenes. Jonathan Taylor Thomas was growing up and making plans for his future and job. He wasn't the child actress who joined the show when he was 10. Now that he was a teen, he had goals beyond weekly TV. For Jonathan, school had always been important. He had a very busy filming schedule, but he still got good grades and said he wanted to go to college, which wasn't normal for child actors of his level in the 1990s. In an interview with Premiere magazine, Jonathan said, "I've been working non-stop since I was 8 years old. Someone once said education is something that no one can take away from you." At the same time, Tim Allen was riding high on the success of Home Improvement and building his fame with movies like The Santa Claus and Toy Story. His way of making a business was different from Jonathan's. He was determined to make the most of his time in the sun, and making an entertainment business that works on many platforms. These different ideas didn't cause problems right away, but they did lay the groundwork for misunderstandings. Tim had worked hard for years to be successful, so he probably found it strange that Jonathan seemed ready to step down from fame. Jonathan, on the other hand, wasn't just interested in fame. By the 7th season of Home Improvement, there were reports that Jonathan was thinking about leaving the show. The production team was worried that Randy Taylor's leaving could hurt the numbers because he had become a fan favorite. Talks about Jonathan's future on the show got more and more heated behind closed doors. Set sources say that Tim Allen tried to get Jonathan to stay by telling him how stable and well-known the show was. Most actors would kill for this kind of chance, Tim is said to have told Jonathan during a conversation between sets. But Jonathan had other ideas. He wanted to finish high school the right way and was thinking about applying to college. Things came to a head in 1998 when Jonathan made it public that he was leaving Home Improvement before its 8th and final season. He said it was so he could focus on his schoolwork. He had been accepted to Harvard and was looking forward to being a regular student there. At first, Tim Allen officially agreed with Jonathan's choice. In talks, he praised the young actor's dedication to school and wished him luck. But behind closed doors, emotions were rising. Because Jonathan left at the wrong time, the show's last season would go on without one of its most popular characters, which could change how it ended. The producers worked hard to come up with a reason for Randy's absence, and in the end they came up with a story in which he went to Costa Rica to study the environment. Because this was an easy way out, it made it possible for guest performances even in the series end, but they never happened. The breaking point: Jonathan Taylor Thomas said that he was leaving Home Improvement to go to school, but his actions in the months after he left made the cast and crew, especially Tim Allen, look twice. Jonathan didn't just focus on school like he said he would. He was in a number of movies such as I'll Be Home for Christmas and Speedway Junkie. Tim Allen didn't like how this seemed to be a conflict. Allen openly slammed his former on-screen son in a 1999 interview with TV Guide that sent shockwaves through the entertainment business. He said it was about going to school, but then he made some movies. He wanted to make movies, right? He said he did not want to go to school. It seems like he didn't like it when I told him I was confused. Allen's words showed how disappointed and hurt he was. He thought that Jonathan hadn't been completely honest about why he was leaving the show. If he had time to make movies, why couldn't he have come back to Home Improvement from time to time, especially for the last season? From Jonathan's point of view, things were more complicated. He had made a few movies, but they were projects he had promised to do before he focused on school. More importantly, film schedules let students work hard for short periods of time and then take long breaks, while TV show schedules needed weekly commitments. People outside of the show didn't know that their final argument on set was the last straw in their argument. An assistant producer who saw the conversation says that Jonathan finally let out a shocking F***KU with growing anger. After Tim said he was leaving the show that made him famous, everyone there was shocked by the reaction because it was so out of character for the young star. At this point, their relationship really broke down. They had a heated argument that would take years to get over. The biggest blow to the public came when Jonathan said he wouldn't be in the last episode of Home Improvement. This decision seemed to support Tim's thoughts that Jonathan's decision to leave wasn't just for school reasons, but also maybe to get away from the show that made him popular. In May 1999, the series finale ran without Jonathan's character Randy. This left what many fans saw as an obvious hole in the Taylor family's farewell. Even though the episode did well in the numbers, one of the show's most famous characters was missing a lot of the time. Behind the scenes, things between Tim and Jonathan had completely gone downhill. What used to be a mentor-mentee relationship had turned into anger and sadness between both parties. Cast members were split down the middle. Some agreed with Tim's point of view, while others understood Jonathan's need for freedom and education. In a later interview, Patricia Richardson, who played Jill Taylor, said, "It's always hard when family dynamics change, whether it's a real family or a TV family. Needs and goals are different for everyone, and they don't always line up perfectly." The public fight was written about in tabloids with titles like "TV Dad and Son at War" and "Tim Allen Wipes the Floor with Jonathan in War of Words." Entertainment news shows made guesses about what was going on behind the scenes, and they often blew up the tension to get more viewers. Jonathan had never been open about his personal life, so he didn't reply to Tim's criticism in public. Some saw this quiet as proof of a rift, while others saw it as an adult attempt to keep things from getting worse. In any case, the fact that he wasn't seen in Hollywood for many years afterwards said a lot. Going their own ways after Home Improvement, Tim Allen and Jonathan Taylor Thomas went in very different directions. Tim used the success of his sitcom to get lead roles in movies like Galaxy Quest and the sequels to The Santa Claus. He finally came back to TV with another hit comedy, Last Man Standing, in 2011. As promised, Jonathan put his attention on school. He first went to Harvard University to study philosophy and history. Then he transferred to Columbia University. Jonathan didn't make a big deal out of himself like many child stars did when they tried to become adults. He avoided the problems and public meltdowns that many of his peers had. Seeing such a big difference in job paths only brought out the mental difference between the mentor and mentee. Tim Allen kept building his reputation as an artist and stayed in the public eye. Jonathan Taylor Thomas faded from Hollywood and only showed up in a few small parts or voice roles here and there. People who work in the entertainment business thought that Jonathan's breakup with Tim Allen might have made him decide not to continue playing. Had the public criticism from his ex-TV father turned him off to the entertainment business, or did it just make him want to live a normal life away from fame even more? They didn't talk to each other in public for almost 10 years. In very few appearances, Jonathan would avoid talking about Tim Allen or home improvement by talking about his current studies and hobbies. Tim, on the other hand, sometimes made comments that many people took to be directed at his former co-star that were meant to make fun of artists who don't respect the chances they're given. Where Are They Now was carried by the entertainment press from time to time. Stories about the cast of Home Improvement, which always bring out how different Tim's continued success is from Jonathan's choice to stay out of sight. In these pieces, their story was often told as a warning about how short-lived fame is and how fragile Hollywood relationships can be. At the same time, other cast members of Home Improvement would sometimes join in on the matter. When asked about it, Zachary Ty Bryan, who played Brad Taylor, the middle brother, once said, "It's complicated. Both of them are great guys, but they had different ideas. I talked to both of them, but not at the same time." Many people had already thought the split had caused divisions even among former cast members. The surprising reunion. What happened next shocked both fans and people who work in the business after 15 years of silence. There was news in 2013 that Jonathan Taylor Thomas would be a guest star on Tim Allen's new series Last Man Standing. There was shock in the showbiz world. Had the ice finally broken between the ex-TV dad and his son? There were a lot of well-planned meetings that led to the gathering. Production sources say that the executives of Last Man Standing had talked about the idea of having Jonathan appear as a guest star because they thought it would be good for the show's reputation. They weren't ready for Tim's eager answer. Tim Allen's view of the situation had changed over time. When asked if he would work with Jonathan again, Tim gave a happy dad voice. "I love that kid, he's always been great." This big change in tone made it sound like Tim had thought about their fight and was ready to move on. For his part, Jonathan treated the meeting with the respect that professionals expect. Because he wanted to learn more about how TV shows are made behind the scenes, he decided to play in the episode and follow the director around. The cast of Last Man Standing liked how grown Jonathan was, and it seemed like he was ready to go back to his TV roots. At first, their first day back on set together was strange, but they quickly got along. One production helper remembered hearing Tim say to Jonathan, "It's good to have you back, kid." Then they laughed together for the first time in years. As they got back into a good working flow, the stress that had been a part of their relationship for a long time seemed to go away. Strong numbers and good reviews were seen for the show with Jonathan. Fans were thrilled to see the ex-Home Improvement stars back together, and entertainment reporters said the meeting healed a long-standing split in Hollywood. Behind the scenes, Tim and Jonathan were seen talking happily between takes. This was a big change from the years of icy silence that had been the norm in their relationship. After his first showing, Jonathan came back to Last Man Standing for a few more shows. He even directed one, which made it look like the reunion was real and not just a marketing stunt. In talks to promote these shows, Tim Allen said nice things about Jonathan's skills and maturity. He was always great as an actor. He then went to college and became interested in other things. He's really smart. This newfound respect for each other seemed to end a painful chapter for both actors.
Even though they would never be as close as they were in the early years of home improvement, they had found a way to honor their past together and move on with professionalism and love. The legacy. There is more to this story than just the drama between these two stars. It's about fame, loyalty, and how entertainment has changed over time. Home Improvement shows a time in TV history when family sitcoms were at their peak before streaming services and social media changed the way we watch shows. In different ways, Tim Allen and Jonathan Taylor Thomas show how hard it is to deal with this changed world. The impact of Home Improvement goes far beyond how well it did in the polls. The show started during the golden age of network TV when a hit comedy could get 20 million or more viewers every week and control popular debates. Tim Allen and Jonathan Taylor Thomas became well known in a time when entertainment was very different from what it is now. There were no fights on Twitter or posts on Instagram that could change how people saw them. Instead, there were well thought out press releases and a few magazine interviews. This time is important because it affected how their fight turned out. With the way things are with social media these days, both guys would have probably told their fans their parts of the story. The story would have changed in real time with fans splitting into Team Tim and Team JTT. Instead, they kept their differences mostly to themselves, which led to false beliefs and stories that spread for years. It was the end of an era with the show itself. The end of Home Improvement happened at the same time that TV started breaking up into niche areas. Reality TV would change everything in a few years, and the standard multi-camera family comedy would no longer be the most popular show. The last episode of the show aired in 1999, the same year that The Sopranos started airing on HBO. This marked the beginning of the rise of highbrow TV, which would further change what viewers expected. The Allen Thomas fight is especially important during this time of change in the history of entertainment. When the rules changed, it wasn't just two players arguing, they had different ideas about how to make a living and become famous. Tim Allen believed in the standard star system because he had worked hard for years before he became successful. His strategy of creating a personal brand, using TV success to get movie parts, and keeping up a steady public image was similar to how Hollywood has traditionally done things to stay successful for a long time. To get something new, Jonathan Taylor Thomas looked. It wasn't the first time someone had quit playing to go to school. Jodie Foster and Ron Howard had also done the same thing, but it happened at a very important time when kid actors started wanting more freedom. Thomas's decision affected a whole group of young artists who later used him as an example of how to balance fame with personal growth. How the industry dealt with their disagreement shows a lot about Hollywood's core values. Many producers secretly helped Thomas with his schoolwork, but the system was set up to reward Allen for his dedication to the company. Thomas found it harder and harder to get back into acting even though he was talented and well known. It was clear what the business wanted to say. Sticking to the system is important. Their different paths after Home Improvement also show how gender roles work in Hollywood. While Thomas was criticized for his job decisions, cast members who were women like Patricia Richardson had it even worse. Even though Richardson was a big part of the show's success, it was hard for her to find similar jobs after it stopped. These bigger unfairnesses in the business were often overlooked by the Allen Thomas dispute. Culturally, their fight hit home because it was like fights between real families all over America. A lot of parents had a hard time understanding their kids' choices when millennials started looking for non-traditional jobs and putting more value on work-life balance than security and trust. The Allen-Thomas relationship became a well-known example of a talk that people all over the country are having about how their ideas of success and happiness are changing. Some people said that Tim Allen wiped the floor with Jonathan Taylor Thomas when the young actor quit Home Improvement, but the two worked things out and now value each other. Their story shows that it is possible to grow and get along even in Hollywood. What was your favorite Home Improvement scene with Randy Taylor? Leave your answer in the box below.